The reason that parties go to arbitration, one is because in this context it is a benefit to the adoptive parent because it is far cheaper. If you had a grievance against CWA and you wanted it resolved, you could invoke that arbitration provision, have a full hearing just like you would get in court, but at a much cheaper cost because it wouldn't take the time involved. And it has a lot of the formalities that are dismissed, things that make it expensive. So arbitration is good for parents. Another reason is because arbitration is done much quicker. If I file a case here in Charleston, it may take a year, maybe even 2 to get the case resolved. In arbitration, you can get a matter resolved quickly, in a matter of months, 3-4 months. Perhaps most importantly, though, arbitration provides a forum for the parties to be reconciled. CWA believes that if they have a difference with a family, their goal is not simply to point to a contract and have it resolved to a contract. Their goal is to reestablish a good relationship. And arbitration is the most conducive to that. You're confusing arbitration with indemnification, which is where someone cannot sue you. That is not what that clause does.
Why do you have confidentiality clauses in the contracts?
Why does CWA have confidentiality provisions? Well, for a few reasons. One is because confidentiality is required as a matter of law, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I even forwarded you. Did I not forward you some law? You're nodding your head yes.
Yes, you did, but I need you to explain it.
Okay.
For us, for the audience.
Okay. And I'm probably walking into some trap that you're trying to set, but there are laws that govern the confidentiality of cases and the confidentiality of files, and that's a matter of public record.
But why, I mean, what are the reasons behind that confidentiality?
What are the reasons that the law has confidentiality?
Well, yes.
Because people have a desire to have certain elements of their life kept private. I hope I'm being responsive to what you're looking for.
Does it protect the adoption agency or the adopted parents?
It protects the child, principally, or children who could be adopted. Not all of the children who will be part of a representation to a family. You know, families choose among children. So not all those children are chosen. Some of them are not. So it protects them as well. And typically we see that that's where the rub typically is that parents many times don't fully understand that it's not just the child they're adopting whose privacy needs to be protected, it's these other children as well.
Okay.
It's a matter of respect.
I think that's all. Can you think of anything, Dave? Is there anything?
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Sorry?
We're on this? Get on camera?
What would you, I'm sure mine are rolling, what would you say to adoptive parents in America, caring, loving, well-intentioned parents who feel like exaggerations or misrepresentations, if that's how they feel about them, what would you say to those parents who feel like, you know, there's a news agency that was just looking for something that was sensational, they said a lot of careless things without investigating them, and that's caused a delay in me helping a child? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, you know, that our concern is that the industry be thorough and be not corrupt, there not be fraud in it, so that people who get a child actually know the truth about that child's background. I think anybody who is adopting a child would prefer to have to wait for a child than actually get a child through corruption or fraud.
Would you feel like, is it your opinion that the majority
I'm actually not here to be interviewed. I'm sorry.
Of international adoptions, Ethiopian adoptions,
I didn't come here, Curtis,
are corrupt?
To be interviewed. I think we've finished our,
I know.
we've concluded our...
I've just been kind enough to respond to all of your questions, and
No, but
I don't know why
is on.
your camera has been on for the last several hours.
That's right, but you agreed for an interview. I'm not going...
You don't agree to be questioned about the things you've said. I'm
a journalist.
I understand.
You never asked me.
But you're responsible for your actions, just
Absolutely.
like... No, I just said, may I ask you a question? And you said yes.
Yes, but But you didn't. I mean, I didn't come here to be interviewed.
I know, and
I came here to interview you.
I understand that.
I understand
And if
you
I
wanted
ask-
to record your interview.
if I
And
ask-
I'm not going to be put.
You're not going to
You
be
could have
questioned about
asked
your
me-
conduct.
You could have asked me before I arrived if I was prepared to be interviewed, and I probably would have said no, because what are you interviewing me for? Anyway, we won't get
The
into
reason-
that.
the reason I'm asking you these
Can we get
questions
shots and can we get,
is because just like CWA is responsible for its conduct, because it affects children and people in Ethiopia and
course.
here, you're responsible for your conduct. And if you have information that would substantiate the things that you said, I want to give you an opportunity to say that.
You told me that you weren't able to talk about individual cases and not
Yes, ma'am.
to actually raise the
I
names
did.
of anybody that we've spoken to.
No,
because
I
you
did
wouldn't
not.
be able-
Any
No, you
individual
did.
files.
You said to
Well, let me say it
individual
plainly.
Files.
Any of
Over
your-
the
any of
phone,
your-
you said to me I couldn't raise any names, which I haven't. The only name I the only name I raised was Lisa Bow, and that was because you already were aware of, and you're suing
that
her
situation.
now. So I thought there's no harm in raising that name. We both know where we stand with regard to that. But I didn't come here to be interviewed. And if you wanted to interview me, then you should have requested an interview.
Then I'm requesting, would you be willing for us to interview about the things that you said about adoption? If you'll tell me when and where, would you be willing to let us do
No, I
that?
wouldn't. I'm happy to give you a written response.
And why is that? I mean,
Because I'm a journalist. What would you be using a taping for?
well, let me answer your first question. The reason that I think it's important is because what you have done, and what you have said, what you have represented, has had repercussions to people other than CWA and other than your ratings. It's affected innocent people. And I would like to know how you stand by those things. It seems to me that you can't. And maybe you would say otherwise. I'd like to give you the opportunity on camera. I've come to sit and talk with you, not knowing what your questions would be.
Why hasn't Tommy Lee Harding or Robert Harding spoken to us?
This is what we chatted about earlier, and I responded to that before. One is because there is ongoing litigation.
But they could
And
have
that's a
talked
problem.
about any of the things that we talked about today with regard to their operations in Ethiopia.
Yeah. And the second reason is because there is, just like you distrust CWA, and I understand that, rational people can differ sometime, and you have a distrust of them from things that you've learned. They have a distrust of you from things that they have learned. And so I'm sure you can understand that they would like some distance from you.
Well, I'm
Because
here.
they think that you, because
I'm
they think,
here.
well, but you
Yeah,
won't be.
I'm
You're here to interview me, though.
I'm
You've
here
made
to
that
interview
plain.
You. I
Right.
would have loved to have interviewed
So my
them.
question is, can I interview you?
I would have loved to have had a conversation with them.
But you won't let me set up a time to interview you.
No, because I'm a journalist. I don't do interviews.
Oh.
I interview people.
Yeah. You are critical of the actions of others, but you won't let them scrutinize your activity.
No, because you're not a journalist. You're a lawyer.
Right.
Why would
I don't
you
have
want to
nearly the
interview me?
professionalism you do.
Why would you want to interview me?
Because lawyers, like journalists, are very interested in the truth.
Okay.
That's what we do. I'd like to know what the truth is. You're uncomfortable with that?
No, because I have no problem with, and I would stand by, and as our program has said, they stand by everything that was said in that documentary.
Okay.
So
And I just want to be sure that I understand, but you will not give me an interview.
no.